several breakout rooms. And if you need verification of attendance for today's webinar, we've got you covered. We know that many of you do. So I'm going to tell you how you can get that verification. We will share a link to a webinar evaluation survey starting at the 30-minute mark after the hour and then every 15 minutes after that. Your survey responses provide us with really important feedback to help us improve and ensure that our professional development is meeting the system's needs. That same survey also gives you a way to receive a verification of attendance. On the form, just select the option at the bottom that says send me a copy of my responses, and then use that email that you get as your verification. Okay, so I'll say that one more time. If you need a verification of attendance, complete the webinar survey that we'll put in the chat later on and select the option at the bottom to send me a copy of my responses. Okay, we've got the recording started, so I'm going to just take a moment to introduce our wonderful facilitator today. Dr. Stillwell is professor of ESL and co-PI for the Saddleback College AI FAST grant. Dr. Stillwell presents frequently about AI in education for international, national, and local teaching organizations. As an English language specialist in Mexico and Vietnam, he has engaged in U.S. Department of State projects on AI in education. And as a distance education coordinator, he's piloted and shared innovations in technology-supported instruction. Dr. Stillwell is currently leading the AI Communication Education ACE group at Saddleback College to explore uses of AI to support language learners, which sounds really cool. That group is funded by a California Learning Lab AI Fast Track grant. He's also done extensive work in teacher education at UC Irvine and at Teachers College, Columbia University, and has contributed to numerous publications on collaborative professional development. So it's a real treat to have you here today. Chris, thank you so much, and I'll turn things over to you.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Marina. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's really a pleasure to be here. I've seen some really fantastic workshops coming from this group. I've seen superstars like Michelle, and I'm going to quote Anna Mills and Jose Antonio Bowen, I think, has been a part of things like this as well. Lots of people who inspire me a lot. So it's really an exciting day for me. So I told my family this is like the best thing I can imagine being able to do in California. So everybody, thank you for making my dreams come true. Here we go. So AI breakout room challenges. Today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about a few different things. Here we go. So the overview is, first, what are these AI breakout room challenges? And we'll have 4 different tasks. Okay, so I'll go into further detail on each of these things. And then there's going to be a bonus round, time permitting, about easy Canvas quizzes from AI. So let me go into this breakdown a little bit more slowly, I suppose. So the first thing is these AI breakout room challenges. Well, that will involve you going into the breakout room and trying something with in relation to AI, but you will not actually use AI. It will be something where you're talking to colleagues, you're sharing ideas, and trying to come up with an ideal solution to a common problem or a common situation nowadays. The first one's about just figuring out how to get to your slides in your breakout room. But task 2 there is about prompting AI to help students complete their studies. Task 3 is about reducing AI abuse in your students by maybe redesigning an assignment. Task 4, you can see, is about making a challenging text accessible using AI in some creative ways. And then, as I mentioned, there's a bonus round coming as well, I hope. So let's see how we do. Now, the first question, though, is who are we? You've heard a bit about me, but I don't know very much about you. So could we please, Michelle has a poll, and there it is, everybody. So if you could please answer these questions, we'll just get a sense of what's our group like today. And on that first question, or the second question about primary teaching area, we had a bit of a debate about how to phrase that. I know it's not, there are probably some better ways I could phrase that, but hopefully this will be a good start for us anyway.
And there are a total of 3 questions, just in case you need to scroll down, folks.
Okay, so does it look like everybody's answered at this point? I think that's what I'm seeing here. Oh no,
Mm,
we're climbing to 19.
yeah, so it would be 21, not
Got
including
it.
Yumi and Marina.
Okay, so pretty close here. What I'm seeing here is most people are saying that they use AI somewhat regularly or a lot. So we've got maybe 70 something percent. Yeah, 80 something percent, I think that is. And then primary teaching area is, let's see, English composition has 4 people. We've got STEM for 3 people, social sciences for 2, CTE for 2 people, 1 not from the teaching world, and 7 who are, my survey did not capture, 7 other. So sorry about that. But if you would like in the chat, you can share with us what is your other, because we'd like to learn more about the group here. And then finally, the how long have you been teaching? We've got a couple of people with 0 to 3 years and a couple more with 4 to 10. But it looks like most of the group is in the 11 to 20 or more than that. The rest of the group is falling into those areas. So, okay. I think we can close the poll. All right. And I'll continue. So that's great to know. So we've got a range of experience, a range of backgrounds. A lot of people, though, with a lot of time in the classroom, and a lot of people who are kind of using AI in different ways. So that sounds like a pretty good group for us today. And so I'll proceed now to talk a little bit more about this interactive session and how the breakout rooms work here. So seeing the future of our session, that's what's happening in the crystal ball. So it's interactive breakout rooms, Google Slides, and so you'll be assigned to a breakout room team kind of randomly, and each team will complete an AI-related task on the Google Slides, but you'll not actually use AI. So I'm really hoping that in each breakout room, there will be one person who's a good sport who will maybe share their screen and type for the group into the slides. That will probably be the easiest way to do this, but there are other ways. We'll see what happens in the breakout rooms. For those of you watching the recording later, consider trying the challenges yourself or with an AI. Why not, right? With an AI partner. Let's really delve into this stuff. I just said delve. That's an AI word. Okay, so guidelines for breakout room activity. Some things to keep in mind when you're in the breakout rooms. Please don't ask AI to complete the tasks. I always have to say that in a workshop like this. Collaborate with your colleagues, generate your own ideas from your own brains, and maintain a spirit of inquiry and exploration. Welcome all the ideas and keep going. Sometimes you might feel like you have one good answer and that's good enough, but I'd encourage you to keep going because I think it starts getting interesting when you get past the first 3 or 4 kind of more obvious ideas and push a little deeper. Share the airtime, please. Make sure that everyone in your group has the time and the opportunity to contribute. And if possible, turn on your microphone and your camera too, if it's okay for you. If it's not and you prefer chat, that's okay too. So just saying that. And then the last rule here is multiple group members can access the slides at the same time, or one member can share their screen and act as the scribe for the group. I think that second option might be a little easier on everyone, but either one can work. Okay, and I even have an option if things really fall apart, but they're not going to, don't worry. Why did I say that? So task 1, the first task is to get started in your breakout room. And I'm going to share a link with you in just a moment to let you go there. But I know from teaching, right, that if I give you the handout before I explain the handout, you're going to lose, you're not going to pay attention to me anymore. You're going to look at the handout. Same thing if I give you the link, you're going to disappear because you're human, kind of like me. So I'm going to explain things first, and then I will give you the link. So first thing is, yeah, we're going to access the Google Slides. You'll find your groups section according to your breakout room. So you're automatically going to go to a breakout room. And if you're in, say, breakout room number 3, then when you go to the slides, look for the section that says room 3. All right. The first slide has a space for you to put your names. So when you're in the breakout room, you can introduce yourself, say one or 2 words about where you're coming here from. But keep in mind that the time's going to go by quickly. So try to get the names on the slide and then discuss this or that. There's a slide to just get us started with kind of a warm up. And put your group's favorite choices in bold. So you can it's Google Slides, you can interact with it, you can grab some text there and you can change it to bold for the most popular choices. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to switch over now to show you what you will see when I stop goofing around and actually give you the link. So here's what it will look like. You'll see that the first slide here has the group task slides, and you've got some guidelines here. You can kind of go past that and look for your room number. So if you're in breakout room 1, this is where you will go. And then you'll notice that the slides all have something in the top left corner to orient you. So always try to remember what's your room number and what task are we on. So top left corner, and they're even color coded. So Hopefully this will help everybody. Now here it says on the next slide, discuss each pair of choices, which is better and why. Again, mark the popular choice in bold. And if you want, you can add comments at the bottom. You can see there's a spot there. So if you're having a raging debate about something and nobody wants to vote for anything, well, that's an opportunity to say something else about it if you like. Now we're going to try to keep this down to about 5 minutes because we have a lot of other things we're going to try to do. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to jump around into the different breakout rooms and see how you're doing. Again, if one person could maybe volunteer to share their screen and get the Google Slides going for everybody, that would be really great. Otherwise, we'll see how we can help you. Let's see. Once you get to that slide, that's going to be the last slide for now. So once you'll see room 1, task 1, and it will say stop here. So please, no cheating. Please don't go past. It won't make much sense anyway, but please stop when you get there. All right, Michelle, what do you think? Are there any questions coming up in the chat? Is there anything else I need to address here so far?
So far, so good.
Okay, all right, great. So here's that overview again, and here is the link, and I will also drop this link into the chat for everybody right now. So there we go. And so hopefully you can find what you need and continue from there. Oh, what else? Well, we should open some breakout rooms, right? I thought this was going too easily. All right, so now I'll find some breakout rooms. And Michelle, we have 19 participants, is that right?
Let's see. Now we have 23.
23, okay. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make 6 breakout rooms. Wow, that's exactly the maximum I planned for. This is great. So there should be about 4 participants in your room, possibly 3. And we will see how that goes. Let's see, creating the rooms. Hopefully everybody is finding the slides okay. I see an old friend from college that's equivalently, but let me just get this. Perfect. All right. So here we go. I'm sharing my screen, and it's sharing properly again. Is that right?
Yep, looks good.
Looks good.
All right, and then we close the breakout rooms. Okay, there we go. And it looks like Audrey was not in a room. Not sure why. Maybe she lost her connection or something.
I think Audrey perhaps just got here.
Okay.
I just got out of a meeting and was only able to jump in now, so I have no clue what you're all doing.
Okay, Audrey. Well, I think there's maybe room 5 might be more. There's one room that only had 2 people in it. So if we can figure out what that room is, we'll try to add you to that one next time. I think it was
sounds good.
room 5. Yeah.
I think we've got the AI companion down below to maybe help me catch up on what y'all talked about. Is that
Well,
a thing?
you're fine so far. So far, we've just figured out how to access the Google Slides, and everybody's done that, and everybody's got somebody sharing the slides and kind of being the scribe, and so we're in pretty good shape. Now, I don't have my window set properly, but I think everybody's back now, right? So yeah, if you like in the chat, you can share one interesting thing from your group's discussion, but I'm actually going to jump ahead here and just comment that I'm very pleased that so far things seem to be going great. It looks like everybody found the proper slides. You got your names in. Not everybody highlighted things, but I heard good conversations happening. I always feel really guilty about ending a conversation when people are having these kinds of fruitful discussions. And I've always found that if I just get together with other teachers and talk about teaching, it's going to be really valuable to me. So I'm jealous of you having these conversations, and I'm sorry to cut them off. But here we go. We're going to go to our first big AI challenge, and it's about supporting completion through prompt writing. And so the idea here is that we're wondering, how can AI help students finish their studies? I was trying to think, what's a good challenge we could do with AI that might be interesting to all of us across all of our different disciplines. And so if one of the first things we can do to get AI to help us is we can get AI to help pull the information together. So many of you are probably familiar with Perplexity, but if you're not, it's a great place to go. It's one of many opportunities we have to go and ask for, in this case, searching the web and searching academic papers and kind of custom making a paper for you about whatever topic you're interested in. And as opposed to other kinds of uses of AI, this one will give you the sources. So when I typed in, why do community college students in California drop out, it put together an article for me, and it told me the sources, and it boiled everything down. It's a very easy to follow language. And I'll just cut to the chase here, and I'll show you that it basically said that there were 4 popular approaches to supporting completion, to helping students finish their studies in community college to avoid dropping out. And I'll show you the 4 of them, but I'll tell you right now that the one that I care about the most is this one here, because I think this is a good one for us today. So the question now for the next challenge is how can we use AI to make our schools' support services more visible, right? And most of us are coming from a teaching situation. How can we do something in our classes to make this student support more visible to our students? And there's your question mark. So what do you think, everybody? Can you share some ideas in the chat? What can we do to make support services more visible in our classes? And for now, you can think of something that's about using AI, or you can, anything is fine. But we're just kind of brainstorming here. So let me give you a moment here to post some ideas in the chat. All right, let's see here. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm catching up on comments here. Usually more time to get acquainted. I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. Okay, so interesting things here. 3 people in your group are against AI detectors. We will come back to that. All right, let's see here. Meaningful activity would have, yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody. So I'm seeing Ellie says, bring them in to discuss the services. So maybe like a guest speaker situation, right? And Diana says, customize which services to promote based on individual student needs, be more targeted and less overwhelming. Moses says, radically rethink the campus website. Yeah, I can hear you on that. I'm not going to name any names, but yes. Susan Yonker says, I'm sorry, I see a Canvas orientation module page listing services along with links. And so lots of ideas here. This is great. Okay, so thank you for these. Keep these ideas in mind, and let's go forward now and think about what we're going to do to bring these ideas into AI, right? And so that's the challenge for your group. You're going to go into the breakout room and you're going to write a prompt. Now, before you do, I'd like to give you some additional kind of challenges to think about, or maybe some parameters that might make this more interesting or fruitful for you all. And again, this is one where as teachers, we all have different expertise, and I'm really excited to think, what are we going to learn from each other by our different approaches to doing this? So the first thing here is be mindful that even with just a few words, sometimes we can get big results, but are they good results for your students? How do you know, right? So if we're more careful about it, we might get something a little better. Here's an example from last summer. Last summer, I typed in, I just went to ChatGPT and I typed in vocabulary quiz. That's it. I just said vocabulary quiz. And you can imagine what happened next, right? What happened next was, well, it gave me a vocabulary quiz. Hey, Chris, isn't that perfect? I don't know. Is ephemeral and superfluous, is that what I needed for my class? Hard to say, right? Now, if we look at what Ethan Mollick does a lot of great work and he's very influential in his field. When he writes a prompt, it looks something like this, right? And I'll just go a little closer there so you can see that it's very detailed, very, very thought out, very planned. And so the point here is better prompts may yield more useful input. But the good news is that it's about giving instructions. And so if you remember that generative AI is designed to be interacted with as if it were a person, then that might help you to think about how, well, in life, we tend to get better results when we can clearly communicate what we want. And the good news for us as teachers is that giving instructions, well, that's what we do. That's our wheelhouse, right? So let me ask you now, I'm going to pause for another 1 minute. Can you share some ideas in the chat? What do good instructions look like? I have one pet peeve of something that good instructions don't look like, but I'm going to save that for a moment. So everybody, if you can share some ideas, what do good, and not specifically about prompting, but just when you're talking to your class and you're giving instructions. So I see one response is clear, concise, checked for comprehension. Yeah, that sounds great. And that checking for comprehension, that's the interesting one to me. I see multiple formats, text and video, for example. Chunking, not too much at once. Clear steps, step by step. Well, a couple of people agreeing on that one. Clear examples in many formats. Personable, contextualized to the class or to the student, I'm guessing that. Being specific about who you are and who you're speaking to. So it's funny, as I look at your ideas about instructions ostensibly to your class, I might be hearing you say good instructions for talking to AI as well, and you would be right. So very nice. So thank you. Again, keep all these ideas in mind. And so when you go back to your slides, you'll see that there's a slide that has some ways of making an effective prompt. And the suggestions here are things like describe the topic in context and detail, give the AI a role, like you're an expert in something, give precise, concise instructions, which you all were saying, maybe give examples, which is another thing I heard from you. of what you want. Maybe detail the length, the style, the formatting of what you want, so to be specific about those things as well. Give relevant information or data. So if it needs to know like what kind of students you're working with, any details about the class or the time of year, that relevant information can tailor the results better for you. And then sometimes we find that repeating crucial parts of the instructions can be important as well. Sometimes things get overlooked, but if we repeat them, the AI is less likely to miss those important parts. And then a couple other things that are not exactly about writing the prompt, but about the just using it in general, is this philosophy of maybe being iterative, where you create the best output over several exchanges, not just the first perfect prompt. And also, of course, giving feedback when a response is not on target. So, all right, so I'm going to get ready to send you to the breakout rooms again. But first, let's talk about this next challenge. So in this next challenge, you will go to task 2, make sure you're in the right room, right? So make sure the room matches for you. And task 2 is what you're looking for. And the overview is you're going to work with your team to create an ideal AI prompt, but you will not actually use AI. So don't go, no excuses, folks. No going off to ChatGPT and asking for the answers or anything like that. It's only with the people in the room. And on the next slides, you will do a couple things here. Let's just look at them. I'll show you. So this next slide here has the scenario and the possibilities. So the problem is that students at your college, they don't know about the student services that are available to them. And I give you a link to my school, Saddleback's Student Support Services. Just as an example, I don't actually expect you to go there and follow the link unless it's really essential to your conversation. But just imagine there's a web page that lists the different kinds of support services for your students, and your students don't seem to know about it. So you want to raise awareness, and you want to use AI to do that. So with your group, you can brainstorm some creative solutions. But just to get you started, some things, some easier answers might be like make a quiz about the web page, or a hunt to find something, make a summary of the page to share with your students. Make a creative answer I heard in a workshop a little while ago was that third one, like maybe make a script for a video in which 2 students are talking about the services. I'll let you look at that, and I hope you'll like one of these ideas or choose something else. But the reason why I'm providing some ideas here is because the most important thing is to kind of grab an idea and then jump into that prompt writing. So that's where we really kind of gets to have some fun with the colleagues in the breakout room. So here we've got the first question is, what do you want to create? So hopefully you've decided what you're going to create together. And then the second one is, what is your actual prompt? So together, you're going to kind of wordsmith that and craft it into something that's a good prompt. And when you do that, I would invite you to stay here and try to just go with your own gut instincts on everything, and maybe some of the things you remember from what we talked about. But after you've written that first draft, then number 3 is there for you to, okay, go ahead and look at the next slide, which has hints, and see what did we miss, and then go back and you can try again if you have time to make a revised version, right? And I think that's it. You'll find that finally, if you have time, there's one more thing, but I think that's good enough. So let's see, I think I saw something pop up in the chat. Michelle, do I have any questions or anything happening here?
I don't think so.
It says I'm not in presenter mode. So are you guys seeing my notes on my slides?
You're good. We can see it now.
Oh, interesting. Oh, you know what? I think those are screen captures of the Google Slides. Thank you, Marina. That's awesome. Okay. Okay. So everybody, if we're all good, last chance to ask me a question about anything. It's the same link, so you don't need to go anywhere. But in case you lost, or in case you just joined us a little bit later, I will post the link again. It's exactly the same link, and I'll put that link in the chat again. But again, it's the same link. You're going to task 2. Thank you. So the breakout rooms are closing. People are coming back. Some will be happy because the timing is perfect. Some will be in the middle of something awesome, and I again will have to apologize. But I think most of you are back now. Let's see here. Michelle, I need a 3rd screen to see everything, I think, apparently. But 2 screens is going to have to do it for today. So welcome back, everybody. I'm sharing my screen on your slides here. And so I just want to bounce around here and take a look at a few things here. So I'm going to look at group 1 here and some of the things that you wrote. So and I'll just jump. I'll try to give a moment or two to each of you. I'll go to slideshow mode here. And so Marina, Michelle, please let me know if I'm not doing this right, but I think everybody can see this slide, okay? And so we've got, look at the hints on the next slide, identify suggestions you can incorporate. Okay, so sorry. So we're create a fun short summary of 2 diverse college students discussing available student services. All right, so that's a short and sweet and a creative kind of approach to how to do this, and it could be a fun thing to work with. So that's group one. And now I'm going to jump ahead now. Here we go. Okay, group two is right here. Oh, now look at this one. You are an equity-minded instructor at a community college. So I see everybody, do you remember what that's called when we say you are an? That's one of the things that was on the slide of hints, right? It's giving a role. It's assigning a role to the AI. You have a relatable and fun tone when addressing students in your class. Wow, so very specific here. You want students in your asynchronous online class to become more aware of the different support services offered by your college. So a clear objective. You'll generate a first draft of a scavenger hunt activity that will require students to find different student services online. Now that's interesting to me. I see you say you will generate a first draft. So can somebody in room 2, can anybody turn on your microphone and let me know, why did you say first draft? That's fascinating to me.
That was me.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Because I tend to engage in iterative cycles when I'm working with AI bots, and so I don't necessarily want it to overdo the first conversational turn. And I've noticed they tend to like try to be kind of like give you a lot, give you everything it thinks you might want. So
It can get a bit carried away, right? So you're saying, take it easy, give me a first draft. And so you're planning to iterate, right? You're planning to like, let's get started, but let's work together. Okay, thank you. That's very cool. And then there's a lot of make sure to include these different things, right? So make sure that things don't get overlooked. And another thing I like here is that you're being very mindful about what is it about this page that is crucial to share with your students. And you're being very specific as you share that with the AI here. And so, okay, this is great. Thank you very much, room 2. Let's see what we have for room 3. There we go, room 3, back here. Here we go. Wow, again, you're an expert on all things student support at Saddleback College, and you gave the link. So that's another thing that we can all try, right? Including the actual link in the prompt, and that often leads to some interesting results as well. You guys are making a treasure hunt assignment for students with a demonstrated outcome. Please provide instructions for on-ground and fully online, right? Thinking of the different formats that the students would need. So I see a lot of great things here. Generate a grading rubric for a 20-point assignment. So lots of details, really thinking through what this assignment looks like and asking for different things. Also, finally, please include sample instructor feedback. Wow, okay, so I'd be very curious to see how that one would turn out, but definitely a thorough prompt. So I'm gonna jump ahead now to room 4. And here it is. Yeah, here we go. So it says, you're an expert script writer. Write a script for a 3 to 5 minute video of 2 community college students having a conversation discussing the college support services. You included the link. The script should bring clarity for the students and be engaging to generate interest. Okay, so being specific about the output you want and the link. Yeah, I see a lot to like here also. Let's go ahead to room 5. It's nice that we have just 5 rooms so we can look at these pretty quickly. Here's room 5. Again, you are a community college instructor creating a quiz for your students on the support services. Use the college website to find the description and create 5 multiple choice questions. All right, and this is the really interesting part, and I spoke to this group a little bit. So I know Audrey knows my secret, and I know Audrey's secret with regard to that cryptic part at the end there, where it says place an asterisk in front of the correct answer. There's a very good reason for that. And so I hope Audrey will stick around and help me explain that a little bit later, but we're going to save that one for later. Just as a little bit more information for everybody, though, it is related to, well, Audrey, would you mind turning on your microphone and just telling us, why did you put an asterisk? Why did you mention the asterisk?
Because once you've created the AI result, you want to bring that into Canvas. And in order to bring that into Canvas without having to open up Canvas and opening up each quiz question and copying and pasting, it's much easier to use a converter that will convert it into the Canvas QTI format. And the converter that I've used requires.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop you there, Audrey.
Okay.
Thank you. Perfect. That was perfect.
Okay.
So yeah, so stick around, everybody. That's where I'm hoping to go at the end is a little more detail about this Canvas quiz converter, which is a real game changer as far as saving time, making it possible to have more formative assessments in your class. It's a really cool thing. So Audrey is right on track with that. Thank you, Audrey. So now I'll go to room 6, the last one here, and we've got you're an expert in user interface UX. Yeah, okay. Generate 3 creative activities. So asking the AI to make the creative activities. that gets students to engage with the student services, ask students to go to the support page. So it's going to involve them going to the page and choosing a service. Okay, so we've got some details around here. So this is really cool. So I'm seeing each of the rooms has a different approach, but many of you are using some of the things that we saw in this list of hints, right? I see many people doing that, giving the AI a role, describing your topic and your context, trying to be precise and concise. The examples, I don't know if I saw so many examples of what you want, but that's fair, right? You guys are being thrown into this and generating something on the spot. And so details about the length, I think I saw some of that. So many of these things were evident in what you were talking about. All right, so from here, I'm going to switch back to my own slides, if I can find them. I think I found them. And bear with me, everybody, as I navigate 42 different screens here. But wow, these screens are multiplying, aren't they? All right, Michelle, is it showing the right thing here for my PowerPoint there? Okay, thank you.
We see, is it always important to write prompts carefully?
Perfect. Okay, and so that's one thing. I feel a little guilty about that. Part of me feels guilty about asking you to do this very detailed exercise because, well, at the outset, many people, if you read about AI and heard what people were saying, they said that an essential and lucrative career of the future would be this thing called prompt engineering, right? And there was all kinds of talk about that. But now it's becoming kind of debatable. As AI improves, the need for carefully constructed prompts may be diminishing. In fact, there's something that people are talking about, maybe you've heard of it, called vibe coding. And naturally, so vibe coding is kind of creating maybe an app or something, creating a program, coding basically, but without necessarily knowing how to code. It's sort of guiding the AI in the general direction. And it's doing a lot of the work and kind of guessing what you want. And together you're iterating. So it's back to that idea of iterating. And so I think we could also call it vibe prompting. And so basically the idea here is that maybe you start with a general prompt to get in the vicinity of what you want. You see what it gives you, and then you improve your results by making more specific requests from there. Interestingly enough, I mentioned that my earlier example about like vocabulary quiz, right? And it just generated a whole quiz for me without asking me any questions. Well, that's not what happened for me on Monday. And I shouldn't be surprised, right? There's randomness in the algorithm. It's not going to give me the same thing every time. But these things are evolving in bigger ways all the time. And I think I saw a big change between last summer and last Monday, because last Monday I went in and I said vocabulary quiz, and look what I got. It said, sure, can you tell me more so I can make the right kind of quiz for you? And so now this time it wasn't just going to go run off and give me some kind of nonsense that maybe was okay or maybe not, and just be super agreeable, but it was guiding me to be a little bit more specific. So I don't know. So I get the feeling here that even that idea of vibe coding is being pushed back in this instance, perhaps, and the AI is asking me, okay, but give me a little bit more. And people talk about human in the loop, right? This idea of interacting and crafting it together. So I think that's kind of the direction things are going these days. But for me, I think even if we feel comfortable going to the AI and saying, give me a quiz, and it gives me something, and then I say, no, not that, fix it this way. I still think it's probably good if you can think before you prompt. If you can sit down for a minute away from your screen and just figure out, like, what is it that I want, though? And if you think about it, we often don't know what we think until we write. And so that's one thing that worries me about this whole vibe coding, vibe prompting, and just how easy AI is sometimes, is that we might be kind of outsourcing some of the most important parts of our job, and maybe the most satisfying as well. So I would advocate still, set it aside for a minute, look at the site. If you're making some kind of a thing related to a website, figure out what you really want. And maybe once you carefully write the prompts, that will help you clarify your thinking and help you set some clear objectives. Another way that I like to think of this is, if we don't establish what we want beforehand, maybe we're at risk of accepting something that seems good enough without really critically determining what actually suits our needs. It's kind of like, I don't know, if you go to a car dealership and you didn't really know what car you wanted, and somebody brings a car up to you and you say, oh, well, that looks pretty good. But we're not really using our own expertise and experience to the greatest advantage. If we sort of silence that for a moment and figure it out for ourselves, we might avoid this problem of accepting slop. And that's this term maybe you've heard nowadays for AI generated stuff that's kind of garbage. So I think maybe this is one way to go around it. Now, from that message or that idea, I want to pivot to our third challenge. And this one is about, so Saddleback College, that's where I come from. We had an issue with mascots. And so we had to change our mascot. We got a new one. It's a bobcat. It's a cat named Bob, I guess. But I think they missed an opportunity with they could have gone with Saddleback. I think that would have been a really nice mascot for us. They didn't, maybe I just made him up. Maybe he wasn't in the running, but he's here today. And so today I want to talk about Saddleback, and he's got a dilemma. He's got a problem. Maybe you can relate to this problem. The problem is that AI detectors are indicating that many of the students in his advanced ESL class used AI to complete their assignments. The question for you is, what do you think? What went wrong? So we're going to go to the breakout rooms. We're going to look at his assignment and we're going to critique it. We'll write some ideas of what's wrong with the assignment. Maybe how could we improve the assignment? And so let's take a look at the assignment together first. So it's a day one homework assignment for his ESL, advanced ESL class. And it says, write a 1,000-word essay. You can read all the things here about the deadline, about the nature of the outputs that the students are making, the kinds of vocabulary. Can they work with other people? All these things are there. And so you've got these two questions. What happened? Why do you think students seem to use AI so much in this instance? And what advice would you give to Professor Levac, right? So I'll let you look at that more closely in the breakout rooms. This slide will be there. So when you go to the breakout rooms, you'll see task 3. Make sure you're in the right room in task 3. You'll see the dilemma overview. Again, scenario, it's AI, and you'll see it all there. You'll see the homework assignment. And then there's one more slide here where you put your answers. Now, it says try to come up with 7 or more ideas. And the reason for that is I think off the bat, you're going to see 2 or 3 things that are very obvious that you could fix or improve. But I think if you press forward, you'll come up with some more interesting things. So that's why I'm saying 7 or more ideas. I think I'm going to shoot for about 5 minutes for this challenge, but I'll listen in on everybody. And if you need a little bit more time than 5 minutes, I might extend it a little bit. So before I open the rooms, I'm going to take a sip of water so you can think about if you want to ask me any questions. Are there any questions about this?
There's nothing in the chat.
All right, great. Okay, so let's open the breakout rooms as soon as I can figure it out. Everybody, you can already go to those slides. It's task. And let's see, I'm going to share my. Am I already sharing my screen?
No.
I think I am. I love to have that be the first thing in the recording after these things. Here we go, share, and share again. All right. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I think we've got some answers from each of the groups. I'm just going to scroll through here real quick and take a look at some of the responses. And I'm going to start with room 4. Again, the task is we're looking at Professor Levac's day 1 homework assignment and all these issues. Anybody watching the recording, you might want to pause here to take a closer look. But right now, I'm going to focus on the responses. So room 4, you said it's too demanding. It's asking for perfection. There's not enough time. And it limits collaboration. Yeah, so you notice that there's not room for collaboration there. And I did hear one of the groups talking about that. Room 4, was it you that I overheard talking about how you actually use collaboration as a strategy to get students to avoid you leaning on AI too much?
Yeah, I do. So
Okay.
I did you want me to expand on that, or
Please, yeah.
So one of the approaches that I use in my writing class is I teach a type of writing, like compare and contrast or cause and effect or whatever. Each of those types of essays I do in a 2-week period. So each week has 2 classes. In the first class, I introduce the main ideas about it. And then in the second class, I have the students collaborate. So I put them in groups of 4, and then I'll walk them through brainstorming. Like, first, let's brainstorm the topic, let's brainstorm the audience, let's brainstorm the points, and let's brainstorm the purpose. And then I have them like kind of funnel those down into more specific things. And then they work together in the class to generate a thesis. And everybody in that group will use the same thesis. So they'll go home on the weekend, they'll write that paper, the first draft. And then on the next week in the first class, I bring them back together and I have them exchange papers and see, like, they compare basically what they wrote. And they can see, like, wow, we had the same thesis, but we went in totally different directions. Like, this is how we developed our paper and things like that. So I kind of get them through brainstorming on their own. And then I give them I give them a bunch of questions or different sections to walk through and points to revise their papers, and they revise their papers for each other. And then the second weekend, they write their own second drafts, and then that's when they turn them into me. So that collaboration, it started with trying to mitigate plagiarism, and it's really worked with AI as well.
Nice. So I can imagine that having them kind of work together in class and develop things. I'm also hearing you say that they're kind of developing their ideas together. There might be more personal connection. They might be inspiring each other a bit.
Yeah.
And when you have that kind of, you might be getting more buy-in as well. And when you have that kind of buy-in, students are less inclined perhaps to lean on AI. Well, thank you. That's a lot of great ideas there. And the highly scaffolded nature of it also stands out for me as something that maybe makes students feel like, I can do this. I've got it. It's step by step. So that's I love that kind of mindful approach. Okay, well, so let's see. I'm going to go now to another group. Let's see if I can make it. And let's see. Yeah, okay. So this is group one. I think I made it to here. And so students want to be perfect and not make mistakes, right? So that might be one reason why the students are perhaps using AI. Expectations are too high, and this idea of, again, do not collaborate, right? All right, thank you, room one. And let's see. I'm going to go to room two. The pressure, the perfection, the zero collaboration. So many of you are hitting on the same kinds of things here. And let's see here. Too much emphasis on output versus process is your fifth bullet point there for room two. And that's an interesting point, right? So one of the questions in our this or that discussion was, should we be focusing on product or process? And this is much more focused on the product here, especially for a first assessment. I think that's a great point from room two. Thank you. And the problem is contradictory between personal and professional. All right, great. So let's see. I'm going to go now to room three. And you said tight deadline, the ESL writing aspect, digesting two sources and synthesizing them. That's a good point, right? So this thing about taking two sources and synthesizing them sounds a lot like something that AI would be good at. The generic topic is also going to be a good match for AI. And then, yeah, other kinds of problems I see here. And the island of no collaboration. All right. So let's see. I think I missed one group. Let me see if I can find them. I think I got this one. Yeah, here we go. Instructions were overwhelming. Requests for perfect grammar, written with intimidation. And then name the articles. Okay, so can somebody from room five, can you mention what do you mean here by name the articles? That's an interesting point here.
I can answer that. So instead of saying this article, you need to say what in the link, what the article is. So reference with the name of the article.
Nice. Yeah. And that's also an accessibility issue, right? When we're making our hyperlinks, we should never do something like this article. It should be actually the name of the article, and the name of the article happens to be hyperlinked. So yeah, and so
Exactly.
These instructions are giving no information. Thank you, Aaron. So I'm really glad you guys noticed that one as well. Okay, and so then we've got all kinds of advice. And for that one, I'm going to switch over to my slides, and I'll share some things that I was thinking of. And I'm going to encourage everybody to jump in, raise your hand if you have comments, or if you want to expand on anything, or point me in a different direction. I'm definitely open to a dialogue here. But hopefully you're all seeing Professor Leback there and some strategies that a lot of these came up from you, right? The reducing time pressure. Also, kind of another way to think of it is increasing transparency. There's not very much clarity here about how the students are going to be graded. I mean, it says that they have to have perfect grammar and perfect this or that, but there are some things we could do, like breaking it down, just as I heard. I think it was Timmy, I think I heard say about breaking the assignment down and kind of scaffolding it bit by bit. And then there's providing a rubric is another thing we could do to help students understand what they have to do and how do they get the highest grade, or maybe they're, maybe they don't feel like they need the highest grade, but they can figure out what's adequate also. Providing examples, just like when we give examples to the AI, we can also give examples to our students. And that is something that is also very easy nowadays for us to do. And by the way, I'm just checking, did we turn the recording back on? Okay, great. So providing examples, okay. And then, so those are some kind of surface ones, but then making it personal, right? So maybe a little bit more about students' personal experiences. This is not a cure-all for everything, but Jose Antonio Bowen talked about this in a prior workshop, and I really like the way he talked about it as, of course, AI can still cheat and still pretend to be another person. But if the assignment is really made personal and interesting enough to the student, then the student's not going to maybe be as motivated to use AI. They'll be more motivated to express their own experiences and share from themselves personally, the more we can do that effectively. And a similar idea that I remember hearing Jose Antonio Bowen talk about is this idea of getting buy-in. Lots of times students might lean on AI if they don't see what the purpose is, if it just seems kind of like busy work, it's just something I have to do, and this teacher is being kind of unreasonable about it. They might even feel justified in finding a shortcut. But if we can sort of explain to them, what's the purpose of this assignment? How is this connected to their goals? How is this going to make it easier for them to get what they wanted to get out of this class, right? So that kind of thing can be some things to consider. Anna Mills does a lot of great workshops with @ONE. And one thing that I've heard her talk about in the past is this idea of process tracking. And if you're not familiar with that, I'd encourage you to think about it. So let me pause for a second. Does anybody know, have you heard of process tracking, or does anybody want to take a guess on what that might mean? You can raise your hand, or you can turn your microphone on, or you can say something in the chat.
Feedback is connected with some feedback eventually.
Yeah, well, that could be a part of it. Yeah. But the idea here is that we're tracking the process, right? So we've got that question of process versus product. And let's see, I see something popping up in the chat here. If I could just find my cursor and the button. Let's see here. So we've got, it's like versioning. Okay, so Benny, can you say a little bit more about what do you mean by versioning?
I think she kind of talk about how looking at like the versioning, like maybe from the first version, second version, kind of keeping check, seeing that students actually writing the essay instead of some kind of like copy and paste, just dumping a tons of text into like a word processor or something.
Okay, and so Benny, am I hearing that you attended one of the Anna Mills workshops?
I just know some idea. I didn't attend her workshop, but I know the idea. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's pretty close to what she's talking about. Maybe you're familiar. There's something called draft back, and I think maybe Brisk has it as well. There are a few different ways you can do it. But if for instance, if you have students do their work on a Google document and you have it set up so that you're a co-editor with them, then you can actually make a movie of the students writing. And so you could actually see all of their process. And so if the student is generating it with AI, you'll just see a copy and paste. You'll see a dump, right? But if they're actually writing it, you'll see it's messy. They'll go back and forth. They'll fix things. They'll move things around. And so just seeing that kind of video that we can make nowadays would help us see what's happening and help us give feedback on the student's process, which is no less important, of course. And there are other things we can do. We can have drafts in class, as I heard Timmy talking about. So that's the idea of process tracking, is breaking it down into the steps and keeping an eye on it and being a part of that process, supporting students in that process. Yeah, okay. And I might have more to say on that in a bit, but I think that'll cover it for now. Let me see, I'll just check the chat one more time. And I saw process versus output. That's a great comment as well. And yeah, so there's a question of, is there a setting in Google Docs to enable this? When I've used it, it was draft back, and that was an extension on Chrome. And then it was just automatically a part of my Google Docs, but I had to be the editor and I had to add that. And I know there are other ways to do it. Now, draft back is no longer free, so I would encourage you to find some other options. But if you search for like alternatives to draft back, you should come up with some good ideas. And for me, all I needed to do was add the extension. Okay, now one more thing that was hidden in the whole challenge here was the thing about the AI detectors. Did anybody notice that the AI detectors are saying that the students are cheating, but do we know that to be true, right? And so I heard some of you talking about the this or that earlier, and the whole thing about we shouldn't trust them. Many of you are saying we shouldn't trust them, and especially you may know this already, especially with English as a second language learners. These AI detectors historically have been looking for formulaic writing. ESL students are taught to write by a formula. And so very often their writing will be formulaic. And so they'll get caught by these detectors falsely quite a bit. In fact, I met a teacher from Vietnam who was becoming a teacher. And as an experiment, she took her own original writing and fed it to the AI detectors, and it came back 100% AI. And she said, I'm pretty sure I'm not a robot. So we really need to proceed with caution. Now, I'm going to go back to Jose Antonio Bowen again. He talks about using these as kind of like a smoke detector, right? If the smoke detector goes off, maybe we don't run out of the building and move to another country or something, but we do go check to see if there's a fire, right? And so same thing here. If the AI detector is if you're using them and it's showing you something, then maybe that's a good beginning for a conversation. But personally, I wouldn't advise going any further than that. All right, and then the last one is this idea of offering AI guidance. And so when we think about AI guidance, the point here is that, you know, we've all been given access to AI without any preparation, really, and we can just jump in. And there are some worrying things, I don't have to tell you, I'm sure, when it comes to education, but some things that stand out for me are, there's a study that says lower student AI literacy predicts higher propensity to use AI. So the less students or people, students, seem to know about AI, the more they use it. And the study said something about they feel like it's magical. And like they don't understand the weaknesses, they don't understand how to use it properly. And so that's an issue. And it gets worse, of course, if we think about, I'm going to credit Jose Antonio Bowen again, men and students with lower GPAs are much more likely to be very knowledgeable about AI. And that's in quotation marks. And really, I mean, think about that correlation, right? Lower GPAs and really good with AI. That's a little worrying to me. And then there's a study, another one, the unpleasantness of thinking. And so the point here is something that maybe was intuitive, but they did a pretty cool study about it to find that, yeah, people actually don't like to work. Surprise. Even if it's mental thinking, like that kind of work that we as teachers are always asking our students to do, it can be seen as kind of painful. And so that's a further motivation that, you know, AI has landed in everybody's lap, and it can be hard to resist that temptation. So for me, that gives me a little bit more understanding of what students are dealing with when they have to decide how they approach an assignment, especially like an assignment like Professor Lebac's assignment. So I like to think that with great possibility comes great responsibility. It's kind of like this AI is this fantastic tool. It can do a lot of great things, but it's also dangerous, right? So there are many risks to what it can do, and students need guidance, and we can help. Okay, now I clearly don't have time for one more challenge, and that's okay. What I'm going to do instead of the fourth challenge, which was going to be asking you to find ways to use AI to scaffold an assignment, I'm going to try to jump to what Audrey was talking about with me earlier, and that's this whole thing about how do we make a quiz very nicely. So I'm going to share my screen on my browser as soon as I can find it. Yeah, here we go. So here's my browser. And so let's see, I'll go over here to, I'll go to a new chat here, and I'll say, make me a quiz about a letter from a Birmingham jail, right? And so that should be in the training data. But if I wanted to be careful, I could actually give the link or actually paste in the text if the context window is big enough. And there we go, I'm getting a quiz, right? Now, I think we all know how to do this, right? But the special thing is, how do I take a quiz like that and put it into Canvas very quickly and easily? And what I do is I use an exam converter. So here's the one that I like to use. It's NYIT. I'll put it in the chat a little bit later, but here it is. And if we look at this, it gives you some instructions. Actually, I'll put it in, let me just put it over here before I lose track. Okay. And so Michelle, please don't let me forget to share that link before we go. But here, if we look here, it says, if you want to convert a quiz to Canvas very easily, you need to use particular formatting. So it's each question must start this way, and if it's multiple choice, it should be like this. And there's even an example. I'm just going to copy this part of the exam converter. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to say, let's change the formatting. And then I'll paste all that in. So each question must start with the question number, and I'm just following the instructions for the formatting that were given on that other site. And then hit enter. And here's a reformatted quiz, okay? And now you can see that it's doing something special. It's putting like A with a partial parentheses there. It's putting an asterisk before the correct answer. Another thing that it loves to do, as you can see, do you all see what the correct answer is? C, C, C. There's a D and an A, but it really seems to lean on C's in my experience. So sometimes you need to give more instructions there. But okay, so if I wanted to do that, what I can do next is I can take this all and I can copy it. And I'll come back over to my exam converter, and I'll slide down here. Now, you probably noticed that there were some questions on there that were not multiple choice. So I'm not going to use those, but I'm going to say MLK letter is my assessment title. and I'll say it's 1 point per question, and I'll paste it all here. And I'm going to get rid of the parts that are not the multiple choice. I of course could refine that, and I should refine that. I should never just go straight to Canvas without checking all these questions and making sure that they match my students. I'm committing a lot of sins right now. Kids, don't do this at home. But I just want to show you how easy it is to go from once you've made a good quiz to putting it on Canvas. So now I click on check for syntax errors, and it says I found 5 questions, and it says it's all good. It says no errors. Convert to a QTI file. So I click on that, and I save it. Right, there we go. I'm saving it. And so it is saved. So now I go back. Now I'm going to open Canvas, and I go to this part where it says import existing content. And I think I thought this was good because I think many of us are using Canvas here in California. So I go to import existing content, and can anybody tell me? I'm going to select a content type. What content type am I going to select?
QTI.
QTI file. And I panic for a moment because I don't see it. But then they've gotten smarter, and they've got, oh, there it is. Okay, so there we go. QTI. And thank you. All right, so now I choose the file, and let's see, I'm going to go up to my desktop if I can find it. There we go, desktop. All right, QTI MLK letter, there it is. So I clicked it, and there it is. All right, and I can say something about a question bank if I want, but the most important thing is that I'm going to try to get it going here. So there it is. It's uploading. All right, let's see how it worked. So now I'll go to quizzes, and I've got all my different quizzes here. Shouldn't have done it that way. Let's see, do I have a quiz about MLK in here somewhere? There it is, MLK letter. And I can preview it to see, I can edit it to see if it's got everything lined up properly. I'll look at the questions here, and I'll show the details. And look at that. As fast as that, I have a quiz in Canvas. And so what I would really like to advocate for everybody is thinking about this, not for maybe for high stakes assessments, but for formative assessments. There's a really great book called Make It Stick. And the book Make It Stick is all about how we learn according to principles of cognitive psychology, right? And one thing they talk about a lot is how we learn from taking a test. And so, and when I read that, I felt like a bad teacher because I just don't give my students enough kind of easygoing, low stakes quizzes. But that's something that is a lot easier to accomplish right now. So let's see, I'm returning to the chat now and seeing what's going on. Yeah, that's a good question. I see Ellie asking, could ChatGPT do this? I'm not sure. I haven't tried that. I will tell you that I lost a lot of time the other night with ChatGPT. I was speaking to ChatGPT, and it was promising to generate a slide deck for me. And it kept telling me it's coming right up. And it never came. And I finally said, are you just being agreeable? And it said, yeah, you got it. So that was kind of an amusing conversation. Danielle has her hand raised. Danielle, go ahead, please.
Hi, yeah, I was just for the prompt that you put in, so you copy pasted the question formatting from the exam converter website. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I didn't have to copy paste it exactly. I could have gotten the gist of it and put it in, but I just wanted to show you how quickly and easily I could do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just trying to help a faculty with this, so this is great. Thanks.
Oh, awesome. You're very welcome. Yeah, Ellie, you're right. It's definitely not good at slides. I found that out the hard way the other day. All right, well, I think with that, I'm going to say if anybody has any questions about anything, please share. But and I think Michelle's putting a survey in the chat. Did I remember to share the link with you for this?
Yeah, the link came
Oh, I did.
through,
Okay.
right? That's
Beautiful.
the last one that just came through. I'll put the survey link in the chat one more time. And folks, if you haven't done so already, we appreciate if you could click on that link and give us your feedback. We are super grateful for you, Chris. Thank you for your generosity and sharing. I know you put a lot of time and effort into coordinating this session. And folks, thank you for your engagement and for participating for the past 90 minutes. We hope all of you have several takeaways today. And the archive will be on the CVC at One webinars page in about a week or so. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.